Let's bring in Alex Traiman, Jerusalem Bureau Chief of Jewish News Syndicate. Alex, we appreciate you joining us today. We heard President Trump said earlier this morning, we think it's over regarding the 12-day war with Iran. What does over mean for Israel and its military?
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me. Well, it means that Israel is no longer running sorties. They've ran over 1,000 sorties that went over 1,000 miles distance from Israel to Iran. They're no longer striking inside Iran. At the same time, Iran is not firing ballistic missiles at Israel. They fired over 500 ballistic missiles and constant barrages, sending Israelis into bomb shelters routinely throughout the last 12 days. And so that's over as well.
We heard from a lieutenant general yesterday we spoke with. He said there has to be on both sides to have an effective ceasefire. You have to have trust, credibility, restraint, and a path forward. With what you've heard outside of all the bluster and social media posts, Alex, and your sources there and here in the U.S. and maybe Iran, will this ceasefire hold? And if it will, what is a possible path forward for both parties, especially Israel?
Well, I think this ceasefire is going to hold. It's my indications that the Iranians begged the United States to negotiate a ceasefire. Iran took much, much greater damage than Israel did during this conflict. Israel can be trusted to maintain the ceasefire, provided that they don't see Iran racing towards nuclear breakout. And I'm assuming right now that Iran is not going to continue enriching uranium and racing towards breakout, because the penalty for doing so would be tremendous. So, I do believe that what President Trump said is correct. If he did not get involved, it's unlikely you'd have a ceasefire now. But now that there is a ceasefire in place, I think it's going to hold.
Alex, who is speaking on behalf of Iran? Is it the regime, the supreme leader, or is it a third party? Are there different messages leaving Iran?
Well, I mean, you have the supreme leader, of course. It's presumed that he's still in charge. You have the foreign minister, Araqchi, running around and giving the messages. It's not too difficult to understand that the messaging coming out is propaganda-style messaging. We saw on Iranian television that the Iranians were saying that Iran had destroyed Israeli air bases, had destroyed Ben Gurion Airport, had destroyed the U.S. Al Udeid base in Qatar. So, there's a lot of lies coming out. So I wouldn't necessarily believe all the propaganda. I also wouldn't necessarily believe Trump when he says, both sides wanted a ceasefire, and trying to make it that there's some equivocation. He's doing that to make sure that the Iranians don't get angry and don't start firing again. And ultimately that protects them, because if they start up again, the penalty for that's going to be much, much graver than they've already absorbed.
Okay, let's talk about that. If they start up again, as you just said, will they get help from Russia, from China, from North Korea?
I can't believe that they would, particularly from Russia or China. Yes, it's true that Russia and China, and Iran were part of the same axis. I do believe that Russia and China understand that they've lost a pawn in their axis. For China, Iran still represents a major source of oil, and they want to keep getting the oil. And there's not more value to China at this point than the Iranian oil. So I think that they're going to want to keep that supply chain open and not risk a world war with the United States over this pawn that's just been heavily degraded.
What's the smart move for Iran? You're talking to our American viewers right now. What's the end game for Iran? Because we know what Israel's end game is, peace. But what is it for Iran?
I think for Iran, it's regime change. I mean, that's not something the regime wants to hear, but at the same time, the regime is extremely, extremely weak. They were very weak before this strike, and quite frankly, they've been utterly humiliated. Their entire strategy of malign behavior in the Middle East has just been wrecked. Hamas, their terror proxies, basically destroyed. Hezbollah is basically eliminated. The Houthis have been significantly degraded. Their ballistic missile supply and production capabilities are degraded, and their nuclear program has been eliminated. And also Israel hit at a lot of the regime symbols and some of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards sites and besieged sites there. So, the regime, they're just going to try to hold on right now. But the end game should be for the people of Iran to rise up and to take their country back. And then we might even see a normalization agreement between Israel and the people of Iran.
Okay, so the end game, you said a regime change. Of that, would the first big move be releasing the remaining hostages?
Well, you have these two separate situations right now, and I do think that they've been separated. Hamas is still fighting Israel. I believe that Israel is going to try to end this war in the next couple of weeks. I don't think that at this point there's too much more to gain to keep going. It's diminishing returns at this point. They've accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They've degraded Hamas something like 90% of their capabilities, and they desperately want the hostages back. So I do hope that what happened in Iran might lead to an ending of the situation vis-a-vis Hamas as well.
All right. This continues to develop, but we appreciate the great insight. Alex Traiman from Tel Aviv. We appreciate it. Thank you.